Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Teas at dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Hi guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Earnest James. And on my podcast, my guests and I discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with their problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill their purpose. So check out our podcast. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or even on Audible. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel at Deal to Heal with E. James Podcast. Until then, see you soon. Hey, welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and we believe that the relationship between a father and his daughter is one of the most important relationships that in a woman's life. And therefore, our mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads to the world and give our love and support to our dads and their daughters. So first of all, thank you guys for tuning in. To my listeners, thank you guys for tuning in to one more episode of the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share to the podcast on all of our social media outlets. You can find us at Girl Dad Discussions podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere that you can listen to us, we're here. So make sure you guys are checking us out. Also, make sure that you guys subscribe to our podcast. We share a podcast channel with our partner podcast, which is the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. So when you go to YouTube, look up Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and you will find us there along with the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast as a playlist on that same website. So make sure you guys checking us out even there. And we just want to say, first of all, thank you guys again for tuning in. We're brand new. We're still trying to get the kinks out and everything that we got going on in the podcast. We're trying to work it out. Thank you guys for being patient, and thank you guys for taking this journey with us. Also, I'm gonna tell you guys how you can win $100 from the podcast. It don't cost you nothing, but you got to stay into the end to get that information. All right. Cool. So today, just like any other day, we are here with Mr. Larry. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm really glad that I can be here with you guys today.
Yeah. And I thank you. First of all, let me say thank you for being here. I definitely appreciate you taking our time to be here with me and my audience, because you could be doing anything else, but you're here with us, and we definitely appreciate it. And I want you to know that up front. So, Mr. Larry, do me a favor. Introduce yourself to my listeners and tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, my name is Larry C Morris. I'm currently living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I am military retired, but what I do is I teach biblical principles. I'm an author, a published author. I own my own radio show and my own television show. So this has been a great, beautiful, strong ride for me.
All right. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for your service, first of all. My dad was in the service. He was in Vietnam. I know he was a jet mechanic while he was there. I'm not all sure what all he did. He was there while he was there. He don't talk about it too much, um, but he does wear his Vietnam vet stuff proudly, every
Good.
day. And so
Good.
definitely, whenever I talk to anybody that served, I definitely make sure I respect that and say thank you for your service. So I definitely appreciate
Good.
it. So we are here on the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, and we're gonna talk about daughters. So first and foremost, um, my first question will be, what does it mean to you to be a girl dad?
Oh man. Huh. It is such a joy. It is. It's unless you're deep in it, you don't really know. But once you're there, you thank God every day. I have two grown daughters, and oh man, it is great. It's great now, but it took some time to build all of this up. It takes time. It's not something that's magic because you make mistakes, daughters make mistakes, but
Mhm.
it's how you blend and mend the mistakes to get to the truth is so important.
Right, right, right. So what are, you said you got two adult daughters. So what are your daughters' names?
My oldest daughter is Jaquata Parker. She lives in Pennsylvania, and my youngest daughter is Adrian Elliott, and she lives here in Murfreesboro.
Okay, okay. So you got two daughters. So how did you find out that you were going to be a father when it came to your daughters? Because sometimes I know sometimes we plan it, depending on if we married or not, or so you have to be married, but preferably, and sometimes we plan it and sometimes it's a surprise. So in your case with your daughters, how did you find out that you were going to be a father?
Well, my second daughter, and I married her mother, and we found out she was pregnant, and it was such a joy. It was a joy when we found out. We were not together physically because I was in one state and she was in another,
Hmm.
you know. But eventually we got together and been together for close to 42 years. And, my first daughter, I didn't know she was my daughter until she was 25 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 25 years old, which was a surprise. It was a surprise, how it unfolded. But today, that was way back 25. She is 40. Don't get me. Yeah, she is
Right, right,
43,
right.
44 years old. From 25 to then, we're inseparable. It's a growth. One of the things I had to realize, two things I want men to realize is your children, especially your daughters, are never a mistake. They're never a mistake.
Mhm.
Never, ever a mistake. Because it takes two. Whether
Right,
you do it, whatever, they're never a mistake.
right,
But when you finally find out, don't think you have to fix everything backwards. You take it from the day you learn and you move forward.
right, right.
And that's what I had to learn with, my oldest daughter.
Yeah, and I know. But before we start recording, one of the things that I share with you is that I'm a fatherless daughter advocate. And one of the things that I do, I talk to fatherless daughters, but I also talk to fathers that's reuniting with their daughters too. And that's one of the things that I tell them. Like when you come in, you can't try to two things. You can't try to meet your daughter. How can I say it? You want to meet them where they are, right? And move forward. A lot of times, depending on how old the daughter may be when the father leaves or when the father is disconnected from his daughter, then he tried to come back in that same spot. So if your daughter was 2 when you left, but now she's 22, you can't treat her like she's 2, even though in your mind that's where you left off at. But she was still growing in that time period. She was still growing and changing. So you have to meet her where she is and move forward. With the reconnection and reconnecting with your daughter. So yeah, that's one of the things that I do, and I'm glad that you mentioned that So you have two daughters. So how many kids in all do you have?
I have four. I have
Okay,
four kids and six grandchildren.
six grandchildren. Okay, all right, all right. So I right now I have one daughter. My daughter just turned 20. So my baby's not a baby anymore, but she's still my baby. But she just turned
Right.
20. I have two stepsons. I don't usually call them stepsons, but I have two stepsons, and my two oldest stepsons have gave me two granddaughters now. So now I have one daughter and two granddaughters, and it's definitely a great experience. I wouldn't change it for the real. I love when I come over to be with my granddaughters, and my granddaughters call me Papa Maine, which is my nickname. So Papa Maine's here, you know. So I love it. I love it. So when after you found out that you were going to be a father to your second daughter, because the first daughter was already here when you found out. So did you guys find out the sex of the baby beforehand, or did you guys wait to be surprised?
No, I think we wait. If I'm not mistaken, we waited. We didn't have that luxury then to know
Okay.
way ahead of time. So I don't know. My wife could probably correct me, but I think we waited until I think we did see an ultrasound maybe a week or two beforehand, and then we knew it was a girl. It was way back.
Right, right. So even
Yeah.
with that, when you guys found out, where there's automatically some excitement on your end, because I know generally it's like the dads is like dads and daughters, and then the mom is like moms and sons. That's kind of like the connection, you know. So was it that same excitement, like, oh man, I'm about to have a daughter? And then also, were your sons? Did you already have your sons already, or did your sons come after?
Yes, I had like I said, I had an older son, which he is the oldest. I had an older son because I was married beforehand. So I had a son, and now my daughter is going to be born. Which was tremendous. Yeah, I had a good time with her birth. I had a marvelous, marvelous time.
Yeah, and then actually that was gonna be my next question. Just like, how was your experience with her as a baby? You know, because like I said, you guys found out and you were in different states. You know what I mean? But I'm sure you were there when she was born, hopefully. And then just that whole period of just as an infant and the connection. You know, how was that experience for you?
That was great. Yeah, I had moved back. I had moved and I was with her during the pregnancy, and she had the baby. It was so exciting to be able to just hold this bundle of joy, and knowing that we had produced an awesome little child, a little girl, and it was good. Every day, we grew together, all three of us, and it was tremendous.
All right, all right. So tell me something, because you have two daughters, right? So I always say we can learn, and we definitely learn from everybody, but we definitely also learn from our children as we're trying to teach them and raise them. That usually teach us something in return. So tell me something that your daughter has taught you, or daughters.
My youngest daughter has taught me a lot, and one thing about it, she's a chef, so she's taught me how to eat well. She's taught me how to do a lot of things like that. My oldest daughter, when I first met her, I had to teach her man skills because she didn't know. She didn't know the man skill of a father. She had a stepfather, but he had passed away,
Mm.
and I had to teach her what it is to be on both ends, a father, a dad, and a man. So I had to teach her that, a lot of things about this. And it went through the years and years and years. And one thing she said she learned from me is that no matter how my kids look at me as like Superman. Nothing can ever happen to dad, not zero. But I was sick very last year in September. I got real sick. And my daughter lives here, is here. But my daughter from Pennsylvania immediately flew out because I was very, very sick. And she saw me cry. She actually saw me cry deeply because I was scared of what was going on.
Mhm.
Even though again, the value, I knew who I was, I knew where I was going, but emotionally, I was beat up. Now, when she got home, she called me. She said, Dad, I learned so much from you because I learned that you are a real man, a real, not afraid to cry, not afraid to do something, not afraid, and not afraid to show them how not only I can cry, but I can rebound. But the need for family to be together and support one another.
Okay, I want to go back to a little bit what you said a minute ago, with the things that you were teaching your daughter as far as manhood, or just how to operate with the man. I can't think exactly the way you said it. But so with this podcast, I definitely want to share our stories and our love for our daughters. But one of the other things that I want to do that's definitely is important, which is give tips and advice, to our other fathers, right? So my very first guest, and I'm so glad he was my very first guest. My very first guest is a brand new father, right? So I recorded with him at the time of that recording. His daughter was 2 months old. So he's like
Mm.
brand new. So it's the first child and first daughter, and so I always think about him whenever I'm on. So just the if you don't mind sharing, even just some of the things that you may have taught your daughter, or let her know as far as just being have how to have that interaction with the man, like you said, on both ends, as the father, but also as a man, because like my first guest, he's been a man, but now he's brand new as a father, so
Mm-hmm,
just even
mm-hmm.
some a tip that you can give, another father, and even a young father like him, that hey, this is how you show up, for your daughter in this way.
Yeah, one of the things, my youngest daughter, like I said, I was in the military, so I ended up going overseas a lot. And one of the grade A things I shared with my daughter and my son is that you have no uncles, no cousins, no relatives. So you don't jump and sit in anybody's lap. You don't let anybody hug you. You don't let anybody do anything to you because if they do, I'm the first person you come to. Okay. That's letting them understand safety. Safety is first.
Right.
You know, it is so important because sometimes we let our kids, our daughters, sit in people that, oh, here's Uncle such and such. No, 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 no. Because you don't really know the value of the person's lap that they're sitting on.
Right.
Okay, that's important. That is so important because it has opened up a can of worms in a lot of families.
Mm-hmm.
Daughters are being destroyed
Yes.
because it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. People will talk about you. Oh, you're so protective. Yes, I am. I was so protective. I was protective of who came in and out of my house. Protective. Not only of my daughter, but of my wife and son. Because, people have a habit of coming, leaving stuff and leaving out, and you wonder why everything's in array.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you as a man is to begin to sift through all of that. No, you can't come to my house. That's just the bottom line. You can't. And my kids had to know that. Now, for my oldest daughter, when I met her, it was different because she was already grown, graduated from college.
Mm.
So the things we had to go through was I had to teach her that a man should pull out her seat, open and shut the door, be very respectful. All of those things which sometimes street does not teach you.
Right.
Okay, so I had to teach her a lot of those things. And then she was like, wow, I never knew that. So, you teach what you know because you want your daughters to grow up being very independent, but having the weight of a daughter that has been with a weighted father so they can make the good decisions that they need to make.
All right, all right. I definitely agree with that. So knowing that, that these are some of the things that you taught your daughter, tell me something that your daughters have taught you. Just over the years, something that you've learned from them.
How just to be cool. You don't have to, there's things that they do. I was like, well, no, dad, no, dad, no, dad, slow down, slow your roll. Those are some of the things they taught me. Hey, slow your roll. I got this. I can do this. And it takes that because sometimes it's like you groom them and then you want to be lord over them. You
Mhm.
groom them so they can become the women that I would say God wants them to be under your tutelage, but yet they're free to make mistakes or do what's necessary.
Okay. All right. All right. So I definitely appreciate that. So we're gonna go jump into the next segment of our podcast, which is called "Getting to the Core" segment. And so, getting to the core for my listeners, we talk about the ebook entitled The Core Four, which is the four core values that every daughter should get from her father. And that ebook is available at ebooks.ejames.com. I wrote the ebook as well as several other ebooks that can be found on that website. But we talk about the core four values, or the values that I believe is the core four values that every father should give to his daughter. And so those values are guidance, affirmation, love and protection. I mean, love and affection, and the fourth one would be protection. So, Mr. Larry, I know you had a chance to look over it. So, out of the four, the four values that I suggested, if one of them on to you was more important, or I won't say more important, but more, I just say important to you to instill in your daughters, which one would that be,
The
and
one
why?
is
Should I say?
the love and affection. That is important not only to a child, but as a child grows, as a daughter grows, that love and affection. But I just want to say this as a father, as a man, as a dad, you first have to know what love is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, there's only two kinds of love. There's a supernatural spiritual love and there's a flesh love. Okay. And you have to know as a man which one is guiding you. Where are you at? Because you can't give what you don't have. Okay. You can't give love, and the affirmation that's needed, but true love, they need it. A girl needs a dad who can explain and they know that they're loved by their dad. So no matter what happens, they can go to their dad and talk about some things. Okay. And as a dad, that's what you want. That's what you want from a daughter and a son.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to, that communication, you want that, and it's two ways. It's two ways.
Okay. So that's one of the core four. And so being said, again, I wrote the core four from my personal experience as a father for one, as a husband for second, and then also as a brother from watching my dad with my sisters. I got five sisters. And so watching the relationship with my dad, with my sisters. So that's how I came up with the four core. So if there was a fifth one that you can add, what would that be and why?
The fifth one would be value, adding value. What is deep? Why are you valuable? And why are you able to share your value? It is so important because who you are on the inside begins to regenerate as you teach on the outside. And if you don't know your value, what you're doing is teaching what somebody else gives you or what you see, which can be broken at any given time. So I think value would be one of the ones. But what you have down here is very, very, very good.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Again, to my listeners, we're talking about the core four values that every daughter should receive from her father, which is an ebook that can be found at ebooks.ejames.com, as well as a male mentoring book called Males to Men, and an ebook on forgiveness, which is called Forgiving Me, the 4 Steps to Self-Forgiveness. All of those can be found at ebooks.ejames.com. Mr. Larry, I got two more questions to ask you before we get out of here. One of the things that I share myself is, when my daughter was coming up, um, she had a daddy daughter dance, and I had to work, and so I said, "All right, I'm gonna miss this one, but I'll get the next one." And like I mentioned, my daughter just turned 20, and there never was a next one. And so that's one of my regrets as a father, that I didn't take out that time with my daughter for that specific event. So for you as a father, as a girl dad, what would probably be one of your biggest regrets, which would be something that you did or didn't do when it came to your relationship with your daughters?
Well, I think my second daughter, I didn't pay attention much to what they wanted or what she wanted. I was there. It wasn't until we came from overseas back to the United States in '94 until, she sat down with Dad. I'm in band. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. And I was like, well, I thought this was this. But then she says, no, that's what you wanted to do with me. But now I want you to do what I need you to do with
Right.
me now, for real.
Yeah.
So, being in band with her, in the rain, helping in the parking lot, being in bingo, just different things that really helped her understand the value of having a dad that's there. And again, my oldest, is the same thing. It's just being able to, when I'm back in Pennsylvania, be with her, take her to dinner, do some
Mhm.
things that she realizes that's what was missed, but she's realizing that she's growing into something greater.
Right. All right. All right. Definitely appreciate that. Last question. We talked about one of the, what may have been a regret. So my last question would be: what do you feel is your greatest achievement as a girl dad?
Hmm. Well, I think for both of my daughters is understanding I teach leadership and they're able to walk right in it. They're able to become great leaders because of what I teach and what I do. And I'm excited when they do what they need to do and they come back, well, Dad, we did this, da, 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 da. That's because they've seen me, they've heard me, especially my youngest daughter. She's seen me, she heard me, and now she's walking in a great leadership venue no matter what she does. And she teaches her children the same thing.
All right. So since we on the topic, Mr. Larry, I know that we mentioned beforehand. You shared with me beforehand that you're an author. So just give you a couple of minutes just to talk about your book and your teachings on leadership and the things that you offer.
Okay, good. I'll just show it up here. My book is called Rejoicing in My Salvation, Unrolling the Bundle. And it's a book that teaches people about their salvation, what Jesus Christ has done. Because I found out through these years that a lot of people get saved, they still don't have a clue of what Jesus Christ has done. They run with what people say, but they don't open their Bible to find out exactly what did Jesus say? What did he do? So it teaches discipleship. It's actually a workbook that when you get the book, there's pages on there, and the pages tells you when you're finished reading that one section, which there's about 30 sections in it, small sections. All of it is scriptural. Little topic. I only say a little bit, but when you finish that one section, it asks you a question. It asks you what is your takeaway spiritually. So you write it down, and then the application in the natural. What are you going to do? So that's what this book does. And I actually been to Pakistan last year and actually taught out of this book, creating disciples. You know, and it's good. Secondly, I have my own radio show, Fishbowl Radio Network, the Larry C Morris Show, The Power of Prayer as a relationship builder with God. And I teach people about prayer, how intimate and how it builds not that relationship. A lot of times we go pray, we jump into pray, and then we get up and run. But prayer, if you use Matthew 6:6, prayer is a time where not only you can talk, but you can get into the heart of God and spend time listening. And when you listen, then you obey, and then you apply what he tells you. That's what I talk about on the radio show. And then my TV show, Zandra TV Network, it's on Roku, Apple. I teach about leadership, serve, lead, and pray. How all three are together. The topic is, I think Barna released a report that, the major points of leadership, the major leaders, they said they don't have a prayer life. But when I looked at that report, and my first question was, if your leader is leading and guiding you and they don't have a prayer life, then how are they listening to God to lead his people, not yours, his people? So I deal with those things, especially leadership, how to serve, how to apply, how to work. A lot of people don't know how to work. They don't know how to work, so all these things go into play. So that's what I do, brother. Every Thursday, my radio show, 2 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, my TV show is on Zandra TV Network, and it's on Roku, Apple, and my book is on Amazon. I'm getting ready to redo it, so I'm enjoying this ride, my friend.
All right, all right. So let me say again, thank you for your service. Because you was on one battlefield, now you're on the other battlefield, and,
Yes,
still
sir.
traveling. So I definitely again thank you for your service. I definitely um, glad to hear that, Mr. Larry. I want you to have the last word, right? I want you to leave us and my audience with some tips. Just on fatherhood and being a girl dad, things that they can use in order to help them, be a better father and really pour into that relationship, the daddy daughter relationship. So I would like you to do that and also share your social media handles or anything like that you would like to share. I'll give you a couple seconds to think about that. To my listeners, thank you guys for joining us, for tuning in. Definitely appreciate you guys for listening to the Girl Dads Discussions podcast. Make sure you're also checking out our websites, which is our business website, which is the dealhealfulfilled.org. There you can find all the things that we do, or should I say I do for the most part, as a speaker, as an author, as a podcaster. You find more about me, find out how you can even hire me to come out to be a speaker at your school or organizations. So you'll go to dealhealfulfill.org in order to do that, because my mission in life is to help people to heal, and fulfill, deal with their problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill their purpose. And so that's where the website comes from, dealhealfulfill.org. Also, you can check out ebooks by ejames.com in order to check out the ebooks that I have available. Definitely the core four, which is the core four values that every daughter should get from her father, may be found there. Males to Men mentoring book for young men is also there, and the forgiveness 4 steps to self forgiveness, forgiving me. That ebook is also available there at um, ebooksbyEjames.com. Make sure you guys are checking that out. Also, um, text subscribe to our text line by texting the word subscribe to the number 866-326-0730 to receive text messages about new events, uh, ebook releases, episodes, and all of that things that as they release, as they come out. And last but not least, one of the things that I am very happy to be a part of. I'm part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And you can find us at theforgivenessmission.com. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every quarter of the year. And we talk about forgiveness, what it is, what it's not, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. And we kind of dive deep into forgiveness, just sharing about what forgiveness is. And it's a free virtual workshop. We have one every quarter. So when you're listening to this podcast, either one just ended or one is coming up. So go to forgivenessmission.com to make sure that you can get on, be a part. It's on Zoom, but it's a free workshop. You have to go to Eventbrite to register, but just go to forgivenessmission.com in order to find out more information about that. Also, I told you guys that I was going to tell you how you could win $100 from the podcast. And you can win $100 from the podcast by joining our super subscriber contest. So first, you must subscribe to our YouTube page, our Facebook page, and our podcast on Spotify. Then, after you've done those 3 things, subscribe to those 3 platforms. Text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866-326-0730 to qualify to win $100. It's an ongoing contest, and the contest is random. So at any time on any day, I could pull your name and you win $100 just like that. And you don't have to do anything. Once you in, so you can always win. All right. So again, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Mr. Larry, I'm gonna let you have the last word. Again, let me say thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything that you do. And thank you for taking out your time to be here. So the floor is yours.
One thing I'll just share with the men, dads, learn how to get healed. He mentioned about healing. That is one of the premier parts of a man's life, is acknowledging that you've been hurt. Get healing. Be around other men who have been healed, and they can, it's sometimes we don't want anybody in our business. I'm telling you, mentorship is awesome. Mentorship is awesome. And when you find the right mentor, someone who's already growing up, been where you have been, struggled where you have struggled, and they can stand and tell you not only about their struggles, but how to get the struggle behind you. That's a mentor. You need the mentorship, because not only will you get healed, but boy, the wealth of love and healing that you now can share with your daughters is absolutely mind boggling. I'm telling you, a man that is healed is a man that no one can hold him back. No one can hold him back. So I just share those things with you, men. Understand the power of healing so that you can begin to pass it on to your daughters. Secondly, again, you can get me on Facebook on Larry C Morris. That's usually where everybody gets me, there, and Messenger. Okay. Fishbowl Radio Network.us, every Thursday at 2 to 3 p.m. Central Time. And on Zandra TV, all you do is click on business, and I'm right there, Larry C. Morris. So, again, I am so grateful to be here with you today. Man, this is exciting, brother. This is exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to hit on something that you said, because definitely talking about the healing. For those of you who are listening, our other podcast is the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. And we talk about a lot of different subjects and talk about ways and where we can heal, how to heal with some of the experiences that we had. And But I wanted to touch on, what you said about the men sometimes not being able to open up or not being willing to open up, and be vulnerable. And so one of the things that I do, I want to do here, but also I do on that podcast is make sure I start the conversations so that we can be open to talk about things. As men, I talk about, my own battle with suicidal thoughts and depression and all the things that I went through, and some of my other guests that's been on, definitely male guests and black men. We talked about therapy. We talked about getting the healing that we need. So make sure you guys go back and check out those episodes. That's the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. You can find that everywhere too, on social media, Facebook, YouTube. Definitely some good information there. And even one of my fathers, again, I talk about my first guest with the new father. One of the things that he told me, he shared with me, is that him and his wife decided to go to therapy so that they wouldn't pass any traumas, from their past on to their daughter. And so I told him, I'm very proud of them for doing that, and even having the mindset to not only to deal with the things that they both was dealing with, but then even have the awareness to know, okay, we got to fix this so we don't pass it down to our daughters. So I definitely want to shout him out again for even having that wherewithal to do that. So, Mr. Larry, again, thank you very much for being on. Thank you for taking out your time to be here with me and sharing your story with us. And to all my girl dads, make sure you're out there taking care of them daughters, showing them some love. And until next time, we'll see you guys next week. Be blessed.
All right. Thank you.